are now in the penultimate section of The Last of Us Season 2 as Episode 6 premiered earlier tonight, and I'm here to talk to you guys about it. However, there are going to be spoilers in this video, you have been warned, so if you have not seen the episode yet, check that out, come back later and then watch this. But if you have seen the episode, welcome, and let's get into it. This episode is directed by Neil Druckmann himself, in fact, and is even co-written by him and Hallie Gross, who also wrote Part 2 with him, as well as, of course, showrunner Craig Mazin. And essentially, this episode is chronicling the time between the end of Season 1 and the start of Season 2 when it comes to the relationship between Ellie and Joel. This is something that if you've played the games, you knew it was coming, because every now and then, after a major event in the game, Ellie does reminisce about Joel, and you have some of these moments play out. And now you're seeing them, come together in this hour of television with an opening which is actually not in the games. So it actually starts in 1983 with young Joel and Tommy, and Tommy looks scared because it seems like something's gone wrong and he's worried that their dad is going to come home and beat him with a belt. And Joel says, "No, I'm going to be the one who takes the beating. You go in your room, you stay there, I'll take care of this." Their dad eventually does show up, played by Tony Dalton, and he asks for a story. Something seems to have happened. And Joel recounts the story that apparently he was trying to buy some pot, something seemed to be going wrong, he thought he was going to get ripped off, and a fight happened. But immediately his dad, who's a cop, he calls it out and says, "No, that's not the story that I've heard. I mean, I heard that Tommy was the one buying and you came in because the kid who you beat up told me." So, I mean, there's clearly eyewitness accounts. And Joel says, "You're not going to touch him." And it leads to this story from Joel's father about a time that he stole a piece of candy from a store, and he was, found to have done so, and he was taken back there by Joel's grandfather and made to apologize for it. And on the way back, right before they got home, he punched Joel's father in the jaw and broke his jaw. And this was something that led to his mouth being wired shut for 2 months. An incredibly sad story and an incredibly awful thing to hear. No parent should ever do something like that. And honestly, you're going straight to hell for something like that. But essentially the point of the story, he says to Joel, is like, "Look, I've never hit you or Tommy that hard. I think I've been I've been doing better than what he did. And I'd like to think that I have. And I hope that when it's your turn, I hope you do a little better than me." And that is essentially the line of dialogue that carries everything through in this episode. The idea of Joel being a better father figure, just, writing the course of things. But that's something that is mired with tragedy because Joel's arc starts with the loss of his daughter in these games. And just seeing the fact that, he could not save his daughter, and that haunts him for years after. I mean, he still wears the watch, which is broken as a result of that. To that leading to Ellie getting this chance at potentially, rewriting something for himself or trying to, have that chance to finally be better. It's something that he decides to go for, and it's what leads to his actions at Salt Lake City and the hospital. Things have changed when it comes to Ellie and Joel's dynamic. He is very caring for her because it starts off and it's Ellie's birthday, and he gets a cake for her, buy a set, and he even has this guitar that is restored for her. He restrings it, he makes sure that it's all working correctly. He even embosses a moth in the groves because that's the moth that Ellie has on her guitar. And then Ellie asks, "Hey, can you play a song for me? It's my birthday, right?" And he says, "No, I'm not that good a singer." But she says, "No, go for it." And he sings Future Days. Now, continuity-wise, he should not be able to sing Future Days because Future Days, the song, didn't come out until 2013, I believe. So, yeah, the outbreak happened in 2003 and this shows continuity. But you know what? Whatever. It's one of those things where I'm like, it will bother you if you're, super detail oriented, but it's easier to make the leap that I guess Pearl Jam did the song in 2003, it's that kind of thing. Then comes the next birthday, which is one of the best scenes of the entire second game, where Joel takes Ellie to a museum before they get there, there's a dinosaur sculpture, which she's incredibly amazed by, and she climbs up all the way to the top, just cheering, I'm on a motherfucking dinosaur. It's a really great moment, a very wholesome moment, and then they eventually go to the museum. And they're in the space section, and it, very much looks like, in the game where you can turn that wheel around and, the solar system out the thing that starts to rotate. It was really cool. And then he says, would you like to go to space? Like, how about, just come with me. Then there's the lunar module for Apollo 15 that is lying in the middle of the museum. And it's like, yeah, come on in. And when they go inside, Joel basically tells her, hey, close your eyes. I found something. This took a mighty effort to find. And she has a space helmet on that she's taken from one of the displays. And so when she connects the tape and she starts listening, it's a countdown to a rocket launch. And this is very similar to the game in that she closes her eyes, the real world fades out, and then she starts imagining, the boosters igniting and, getting closer and closer, everything starts to shake. It's a beautifully done scene. It's one of those tear-inducing scenes in the game, and it's very much so a case over here too. There's even a line of dialogue after it happens where Joel goes, I do okay, and she goes, are you kidding me? Like, it's a really great moment. That specific flashback ends with a revelation about the fireflies in the game, in that she finds someone dead who is basically, accusing the fireflies of lying, and that's something that ties into, what happened at the end of the first game. But in this case, they're walking back, and Ellie looks at, just looking at the flora and fauna, and she sees fireflies. And it's just something that, reminds her of everything that happened over there, but she keeps walking. All this changes when the third birthday comes though, and Ellie is with Kat in her room. I forgot to mention, right before her first birthday, she is found trying to burn her arm. And the reason for that is because she wants to hide the bite mark on her arm, so she does this chemical burn, and essentially, she wants to just wear short sleeves again, is the entire explanation. And what you get with Kat is that she's the one who makes the tattoo on Ellie's arm, and so she's working on that as well. And basically Joel just shoos her out, like, no, get the hell out, we're gonna talk about this when you're not high anymore either. But also says I look at you experimenting with girls, and you're like, no, not experimenting. And then eventually she decides she needs her own space. She doesn't need to be inside this house, and she takes the garage eventually. But she has questions. Ellie wants to know what happened, because it's becoming clearer and clearer that something isn't adding up when it comes to everything that happened at Salt Lake City. And she has questions about it, which is, if there were other immune people, where are they? And if the raiders came and took down the fireflies, how are you able to get me out of there? So many things just don't really seem to add up. And so it is on this fourth birthday that, after asking for a patrol for a long time, Joel says, yeah, you can come along. And so they're going on patrol, and she's about to ask these questions, but then there's a radio call that comes in of something that's happened nearby. And it turns out that there may be some infected in the area that have gone down, and they find Eugene, played by Joe Pantoliano, and he's bitten. And immediately they realize, well, this means he has to die or he's going to turn. But then he wants to get to Gail at the gate of Jackson to talk to her one last time and tell her something. Ellie says, hold out your hand and count to 10. Calling back to the first season, where when Marlene has Ellie, she asks her to do the same thing. It's like, can you count to 10? And he's able to count to 10. And she says, okay, he still has time. We can still get there. So Joel says, all right, you know what? Get the horses and we'll meet you over there. And as Ellie is leaving, I love that she stops. Because in a lot of ways, this kind of gives away exactly what's going on when it comes to whatever Joel's been saying. This concept that I don't think he's been fully honest with me. And as she's turning around, he goes, no, I promise. But then she goes against the horses, and he asks Eugene to start moving. They eventually come to this clearing, and Eugene figures it out, what's about to happen. And he says, don't turn around to him as he's about to shoot. He says, no, you can't do this. I still have time. I really have to see Gail. It's like, you just tell me what you want me to tell her and I will. It's like, no, I don't want to, have my words relayed. I want to hear her last words. And Joel says, look, if you love someone, you can see them everywhere. And, that then there's that moment where Eugene looks out towards this beautiful landscape. And it's this shot that's just on him the entire time as you're seeing his, facial expression, just harden up a bit. And his last words are basically, I see her. Eventually, when they get back to Jackson, Joel recounts the story of, he got bit, there wasn't enough time. So, he just wanted me to tell you that he loved you, and then he did it to himself. And Ellie is in the background this entire time, and you can see her out of focus just looking at him. And she goes, that's not the truth. What happened is that he had time, he wanted to see you, and then Joel shot him in the head. And Gail slaps him after that happens, and he's just standing there in silence, and Ellie looks at him and says, you swore, and just walks away. And that basically just confirms it to her. That confirms that Joel did do something else when it came to the hospital. Something's gone wrong, and that he hasn't been completely honest about how events went down when it came to getting a vaccine from her. And so a lot of time passes by, you get to the night of the dance, that New Year's Eve, and then Joel sees Ellie come towards the house, and then she just walks by. And then they make a choice. This was a very interesting decision. She comes back, and she comes up to the porch. And if you've played the game, that's the end of the game. You're not supposed to see that scene quite as soon as this, but in the show, the chronology has changed for some things, so we're getting it right now. And you get a variation of it as the two of them start talking, and he finally is asked those questions by Ellie about what happened. Even though she also prefaces by saying, I think I have an idea. And he nods at pretty much all of them when it comes to, were there other immune people? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, did you kill all of them? Like, could they have made a cure? And he nods yes. And she says, I was, supposed to die at that hospital then. Like, my life wouldn't matter. How could you do this? And then Joel says, because I love you. I care for you in a way that, you don't understand yet. But I saw that you're with Dina. I don't know if that's going to go somewhere. But if it does, and there's a day when it's your, chance to, to have a kid or be with a kid, I hope you do a little better than me. And Ellie just says, look, I don't know if I can ever forgive you, but I would like to try. And then you see Ellie show up to the front of the theater at the end of the episode in present day. All in all, I did love the episode. I think this is one of the best of the season. In fact, I might even go so far as to say it's one of the best of the series. It is a beautifully done episode, really, really well acted and directed, and I thought it was very well done. It's, again, we are past the point of, the fact that it has to go exactly like the game. We can do things a little differently. We established those rules in season 1. They're continuing into season 2 as well. As long as we're not sort of losing the point of it. So let me know what you guys think about episode 6. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this episode, what didn't you enjoy about this episode? Let me know. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe. And always remember, when you're lost in the darkness,